Hello and welcome everyone to a new video on our BMW E30 project. So today's video is going to show you how to fix and reinforce a cracked up rusty frame rail on a BMW E30. So stay around. As you guys have seen in the previous video, we have a cracked frame rail. We cutted all the rust and the cracks out. Then we cutted the floor pan and finished the job on the rocker panel here. On today's video, we're going to focus only on the frame rail. We're going to get it finished up and weld it solid with a lot of braces and reinforcement. Now first we're going to start by cleaning the frame rail out, and then we're going to start digging into it. Okay guys, so this hunk of metal in my hands is the mount for the control arm that sits inside the frame rail on the driver's side or the left side. As you can see, this should be a nut and it's stripped from the inside and it's also broken and rusty. And this side here, the bolt is broken in, as you can see. So of course we're gonna need a new one, but we're gonna be making our own. Okay guys, so after doing some body work to the frame rail, straightening it out where the control arm bushing mounts, we set it in place and made sure that it's perfectly true with the frame, which is, as you saw in the previous clip. Now, we're going to turn our focus back on the mounting plate that sits inside of the frame rail. This is the old one. Here I cut a piece of square tubing that we're going to drill some holes, just like these. These are nuts, but in our case, we're going to be putting some heavy-duty lug bolts. We're going to drill the holes out like that, and the lug bolts will be protruding like this. We're going to weld them from the inside, and we're going to put some nuts on them from the outside. Here we have the original bolt that goes in the control arm mounting plate. As you can see, this is the old one, but the other one was cracked, was broken inside, and they actually welded the plate itself to the frame. On this side, we had to grind it out in order to remove it. So we're going to be removing this weak point, which is weak bolts, and installing some 19 thread, as you can see, heavy duty bolts. But there is a small modification that needs to be done in here, which is we need to drill this out in order for the bolt to fit through. So as you saw guys, we drilled a couple of holes in this square tubing piece. We have a couple of lug bolts here. Slip in just like that. And also they will go through the holes in the frame rail. We also wallered out this piece here, so that these bolts will go through like that. And then we're gonna put some lug nuts from the bottom. Now we're gonna set a couple of lug nuts on the bottom side here, and then start welding the bolts to the square tubing from the inside. Now since we have here some galvanized steel, we used a stone on the drill there to ground the material off. This way we can have better penetration and easier welds. Okay guys, so after we spot welded the bolts in, they slide in easily. We're gonna test fit them on the frame for the last time, all three parts together. If they line up perfectly, we're gonna weld them all up. As you saw, everything slipped in perfectly, so we're gonna weld them all up. Now we're gonna put some metal primer on the welds and on the bare metal on the inside of the brace. before we weld it inside of the car. Okay guys, so as you saw, we welded everything up and we also gave her a coat of metal primer on the inside. We also cleaned the inside of the frame rail and got everything ready to be welded together. Okay guys, so just like that, we finished the control arm mount that sits inside of the frame rail. As you can see, we braced it all up, we put some heavy duty bolts with it, and we welded it all around. Now we're gonna turn our focus on where the crack was in the frame rail. We're gonna start bracing her up and doing some reinforcement from the inside before closing it out. Okay guys, so I'm gonna tell you why E30s are prone to rust a lot and have a lot of issues with the rust, especially in the frame rail area and the floor pan like we have right here. So the frame rails have a lot of holes, like you can see from the bottom here, and there's a lot of holes also from the top. So this causes a lot of moisture and dirt and debris from the road to go in. And we have also a couple of fluid reservoirs on the top, like the power steering reservoir and the brake master cylinder here, which if you need to service them or if they leak at all the oil is gonna go into the frame rails. So all the dirt from the road and the oil that's leaking and all the fluid that has accumulated in the frame rail will eventually cause rust over time, because as you can see, if I stick a rod into the frame rail hole here, I can push some junk out of the frame rail just like that. So we need to clean it out and close all the holes to prevent it from rusting again. Okay guys, so here we have some square tubing that we fabricated to reinforce the frame rail here. The first piece is going to be this one here. We fabricated it and cut it into size so it fits right where the subframe mounts. This is the subframe mount. We're going to weld it all around, making it rock solid. Then we have this piece that we need to connect to this piece first, like that, because we cut it at an angle, because it's the shape of the frame here. We're going to slip it inside, just like that. Then we're gonna weld this piece in between. Then we're gonna weld this bar also from the inside to the control arm mounting plate that we made earlier. And thus we're gonna reinforce the whole frame rail from the subframe mount to the control arm mount. We're also gonna add this piece inside of the frame rail on top of the other bar. We need to grind it down a little bit so it can fit. We're gonna weld it to both sides of the frame rail and to the bar on the bottom. Now we're gonna start welding the pieces together, starting by this one. Okay guys, so just like that we got the first piece of the puzzle welded in. We welded it to the mount of the subframe here and to both sides of the frame rail and to the top side too. Now we're gonna bring this piece that we fabricated earlier. We used some stick welding dimes on it. We used a stick welder because a stick welder is good enough to be used in industrial applications and other stuff with heavy equipment oriented stuff. It should be fine here. So we're gonna slide her in place like that, weld it to it and to the control arm mount. And we also have the other piece that's gonna connect to it and to both of the frame rail sides. Okay guys, so here we have the brace that we're gonna be installing inside of the frame rail. This is gonna weld to both sides of the frame rail, and this is gonna weld to the inner piece that we made, that we welded to the subframe mounting plate. And this here is gonna weld to the control arm mounting plate. We also drilled a couple of holes into the frame rail from the bottom side to spot weld the brace to the frame like that. Now we're gonna push her in place and start welding. So as you saw guys, we got the inner brace all welded up. We have a full chassis running inside of the frame rail, right where the weak point was, right where the crack was, and we also connected it to the control arm mount. Now the frame rail is all sturdy and ready to be closed. But first we're gonna throw a coat of metal primer on the inner pieces before we close them up. Now that we got the inside of the frame rail all sealed up, and it's not gonna rust anymore because this coat will protect it, it's now time to start fabricating the patch piece. So we got a piece of cardboard and we used it to cut a template. As you can see, it traces all around and covers the hole perfectly. Now we're gonna transfer this piece onto the sheet metal that we have, then cut it out and start welding it in. So as you saw guys, we traced the patch piece onto the sheet metal that we have here. Now this is some thick sheet metal, it's 21 gauge, so it's thick enough to be used on the frame. So as you saw guys, we cut the patch piece out of the thick sheet metal that we have. We test fitted it, it needed some trimming, we've done that off camera, we grinded it down on this side and on the car side, on the frame rail there. Now it fits perfectly. As you can see, so we're gonna start welding it in, and then we're gonna use the hammer to bend it to shape, and as we bend it, we're gonna spot weld it until it sits right where it should be, and then we're gonna weld it on for good. So as you can see, guys, we finished welding the patch piece for the frame rail on this side. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put another brace on the outside of the frame rail like this, and we're gonna cut some holes in it to weld it from the inside and around its perimeter. Here we made a template out of a piece of paper. As you can see, we're gonna transfer it to the sheet metal, then we're gonna weld it all around, and also we're gonna drill some holes in it and weld them through. So as you can see, guys, this is the outer brace that we're gonna lay on the frame rail over here. We drilled a couple of holes, a lot of them actually, to spot weld it also to the frame rail, and we also threw on a coat of metal primer. We left some space around the welding areas so it won't burn. Now we're gonna slap it on and start welding. So as you can see, guys, we made an inner brace just like the one that we did on the outside. We also drilled the holes and threw on the coat of metal primer. We also cleaned everything out on this side here, right where the welds need to be. Now we're gonna slap it on and start welding her in. So as you can see, guys, we finished working on this piece here. We welded it all in, and now the frame rail is braced from both sides, from the engine bay side and the wheel well side. Now we cleaned the inside of the frame rail. As you can see, it's now shiny metal. We also done and cutted those pieces of metal here that we're gonna be using to brace up the inside of the frame rail, just like that, to keep her from twisting around. We're gonna be welding them in like that, and also we're gonna use them as welding supports for the floor pan. And we're not gonna rely on this slip here on the frame rail. We're also gonna have more surface area to weld it to. And now we're gonna start burning those in. So as you can see, guys, we finished bracing up the frame rail from the inside. Now it's time for the final piece of the puzzle. We're gonna add one more plate on the bottom side of the frame rail to give the frame rail some more structure right where the subframe mounts. Okay guys, so here we have the plate that we're gonna weld on the bottom side of the frame rail. As you can see, we drilled a lot of spot welds to it, and we drilled 2 holes for the mounting bolts of the subframe itself. We also cleaned the bottom side of the frame rail very well with the wire brush on the grinder there. And now it's time to slap it on and start welding her in. So just like that, we finished welding the bottom plate, and now we can say finally that the frame rail is done. So as you saw, guys, we completely reconstructed our frame rail. We added a lot of reinforcement to it. We made our own control arm mounting plate, and we connected it straight to the mounting point of the subframe via some thick square tubing. We also braced everything up, got rid of all the weak points that are known to crack, and now they are rock solid. We also added some lateral structure to the frame rail to increase its rigidity and also to have more weldable surface area to enhance the connection between the floor pan and the frame rail. We also added some stiffening plates all around. In the next video, we're going to be fabricating our own floor pan. We're going to be cutting it into size and shape and then welding her in. So stay tuned for that. And hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to our channel. See you then. Peace.